Welcome, everyone. We're getting started in just a second here. My name is Carter Zimmerman. I'm the president of Lendesk. We've got a all-star cast that you're seeing here on
The
video.
dream team. Yeah.
Um, the dream team, exactly. We've got Joe, who's, I think at this point, you have the crown for the industry guru when it comes to integrations and CRM. And then we actually have some brokers who are in the trenches, who are doing the work, doing the business they're going to be sharing. So we're really excited. Giving it another couple seconds here, and then I'm going to start us off with a bit of an announcement. It's a really exciting announcement, and then we'll jump straight into the webinar.
Yeah, thanks everyone for joining. Obviously, people have been on Zoom before, I'm assuming. So any questions throughout this, just feel free to post them in there. We're going to be sharing links to lots of stuff as well. So after Carter's announcement, we'll get rolling.
Okay, we have about 130 and growing quite quickly. That's exciting. I'll go ahead and start this announcement. I think we're going to be sending out a few different emails about this as well. But if everyone just wants to tune in for a second, I think this is going to be really exciting for a lot of people, especially those who love and use Lender Spotlight. So this webinar will be about using technology and the 3 ways to optimize your mortgage business. We're going to be talking about Blue. We're going to be talking about the integration. But this announcement, I want to take a moment and share with you something that's one of the most exciting things that I've been able to share in a long time. Next month, the next webinar we're going to be hosting is a webinar called Unlock the Power of AI, 5 immediate strategies for mortgage brokers to elevate their business. We want to bring to you, there's this crazy hype around AI. I'm sure you've seen it, you've heard it, and it's for good reason. There's a lot of people out there who are making tools for AI that are going to change a lot of the way we do business. And we want to be at the forefront of that. We want to help you navigate these waters. So the webinar is going to be targeted to actionable tips. So these are going to be things that you can implement in your business the next day. We're going to break it down, make it very simple. You might have heard about tools like ChatGPT, OpenAI. We're going to explain some of that, all of the confusion maybe around it. And we're also going to give you really practical tips and strategies for how to use it in your business. It's something I'm very passionate about, and I'm very excited to bring that to you. We believe here at Lendesk that in the short and midterm, there's a lot of debate, long term, who knows like what's going to happen. But in the short and the midterm, AI won't replace a lot of jobs. Like there's a lot of initial fear around that. And I think that in the short term, the distinction we want to create is that AI won't replace people, it won't replace brokers, but a broker that's using AI effectively will replace and outperform other brokers. So we're going to teach you these practical tips so you can stay on the front foot and you can leverage AI in your business and workflows. Now, before we get started, this is the part that I'm most excited about. During this webinar, we will be announcing a brand new Lender Spotlight add-on product. So those of you that are using Platinum, this will be an add-on that you can add to the offering or the subscription that you're currently using. And it's a product that leverages OpenAI and ChatGPT. And we're currently beta testing it. It's getting incredible feedback. It's so fun to demo. It's like magic. You type something in and these answers come back, and it's absolutely brilliant. So I'm personally really excited to be able to show all of you this. And I think it's going to be a great product for the Canadian mortgage industry. It's going to have that Google search kind of feel for policies in Canada. So come to the webinar. The link is in the chat to sign up. The link is also on the screen in front of you right here. It's our Spotlight AI webinar. Go ahead and register, and we're excited to see you there. So that's my announcement. Thank you all for joining, and I'm going to turn it over to the star-studded cast in front of you to talk about Finmo, Blue, and how to optimize your business with CRM and functionalities. Okay, thank you.
Awesome. Thanks, Carter. Well, welcome everyone. We are up to 141. This is awesome. Thank you for joining us today. We're really excited to share really an open discussion about the incredible integration between Finmo and Blue Mortgage. Is something that I've personally been a part of since my time at Finmo, and we're really excited to share the update that Tom and his team have done over at Blue Mortgage. And we're going to get into the weeds a little bit about automations and integrations, and we're going to really lean on Christine, who's joined us, and Miles Nowak, who's joined us. So with that, let's quickly go through the introductions, and I'm going to keep this short based on a tip from one of our panelists. Thank you, Christine. All right, so myself, I'm the technical trainer and integration specialist here at Finmo by Lendesk. I do lots of
Guru. What did Carter say?
Guru. I'm sorry.
Yes, yeah, there's an error there on that slide.
Yeah, that's right. The crown is heavy and it weighs on my skills. Yeah. We have Christine Buman. I've known since 2015. She's Prince George mortgage professional. She is constantly being nominated for top women in the industry. She is such an influence and she's such a dear friend. I'm so happy that she's able to join us today. And we have Miles Nowak. I've known Miles and his family for years. Fantastic team that he's a part of, and Miles is here to share his thoughts and his ideas of what they're doing with Blue Mortgage. And of course, Tom Howell, co-founder of Blue Mortgage, along with his partner Massimo. They have really changed the CRM industry in Canada for mortgage brokers, and with their amazing tool that is Blue Mortgage. So let's get going. Housekeeping. So it will be recorded, and we will send a copy of it over to everyone. And we're gonna have lots of Q&A at the end, insert your questions, but we want to make this interactive too. So, we may challenge some of the things that people are saying throughout the webinar. It's fun. If anyone was on the last webinar we had Frances Hinojosa from Tribe. She's amazing, and she always challenged us. So it was great. So let's get rolling. So Blue Mortgage and Finmo. For those that don't know Blue Mortgage is Canada's leading CRM tool designed for mortgage brokers. Tom's going to speak lots about it. And Finmo. Finmo is the digital mortgage platform for mortgage brokers and professionals. Optimize the mortgage journey from client application through smart documents to submission to lender, and the integration with Blue Mortgage. Tom, do you want to talk a little bit more about Blue Mortgage and the history?
Yeah, well, I think, really what it says on the slide there gives the really good high level, basically that we are CRM tool designed specifically for the Canadian mortgage broker. And, so much of what we do is about streamlining. We're going to be talking about client journeys today. We play an integral role in that, but a huge part of who we are is our integrations and our partners. And I guess in the context, of course, of this webinar, Joe, you talked about for a long time, this has been something exciting for you and from your perspective, and I think we'd echo it. Finmo was our first integration, and with this latest update, it's one of our most advanced ones, and so it's continued to be a good partnership. We continue to find ways that we really are able to complement each other well, and that's, I think, a big reason why we've gone ahead and continue to invest in this connection and in this partnership, because there's just that very symbiotic nature between the two. So really excited about this webinar and this integration.
Yeah, awesome. And further to that a little bit, we often get asked, and we may even have some questions pop up in the chat about, hey, why doesn't Finmo have its own CRM built into it? The reason why is that we have people like Tom from Blue Mortgage who are building these incredible CRM systems. And early on in the Finmo life, we looked at it, and I remember talking to Carter about this many times. And the process of building a CRM that is going to make people happy is very, very difficult and is expensive. So we want to focus on what we're really good at, and that's the consumer journey, underwriting the mortgage, submission, everything to do with getting that mortgage completed, and then of course the integrations that we have with Blue Mortgage and lots of different systems. So let's carry on. So working alongside technology. So that's one of the things that we have learned in our journey, especially over the last 3 years, that we've all been thrown into Zoom meetings off the bat. Come COVID, we're having meetings with clients online via Zoom. We're working remotely more. Lendesk is a remote company. Lots of mortgage professionals are spending more of their time at home right now. Miles can speak to that. I believe your office recently made a big change and they have moved to remote work. Is that correct, Miles?
That we have, actually. Yeah, no, we had this big office space. It was just me and my dad in there because our underwriters and stuff were working from home, and we decided why not rent that out and work from home as well. And it's it's worked really well, especially with the tools we have.
Yeah. And I think that is a really important thing, that we're all in this hybrid work environment where we may have an office that we go into part-time, full-time, working from home. So we want to make sure that the systems that we're using in our businesses are, number one, secure. Number two, they communicate with each other. And number three, they help us and give us back time to be with our clients more, to find more clients, to do what we need to and do what's important in life, right? Getting that time back. So I talk about that a lot. So the client journey. So I'm going to stop my little screen share here, and I'm going to talk about the client journey. And the client journey that I share very often with people, and I hope this is big enough. Christine, give me the thumbs up that this is big enough. Awesome. Thank you. So I'm going to talk about the customer timeline journey life cycle. And this is something that I put together many years ago. I mean, my brother was my mentor, and then through and business coaches and different people. But this is a Finmo and Blue Mortgage sort of flow that we've made, and we're going to share this with people. We'll put it in the chat. Essentially, this talks about from lead all the way through to renewal. What do you do with every application, with every applicant, every customer that comes into your office? And this is something that I learned early on, that you need to write down what you're successful at. And, as my brother would say, how do you know when you're successful, Joe? Come on, like a big brother would. I said, oh, when you get an introduction, when you get a referral to another client. And that's exactly right. He goes, repeat that for the next person and tweak it. He goes, it's not rocket science. He goes, but you'd be surprised at how many people don't follow a systemized, organized way of doing their mortgage business. And this document is more than that. From lead through to renewal, your tech stack. What are you using in your tech stack? Make a list of what you're using in your business. From Finmo for application, for Blue Mortgage, for CRM. What email system are you using in your business? Make sure it's secure. We have new bills in front of the federal government right now that are going to be changing the rules for mortgage brokers in the years to come. Our provincial regulators, federally as well, we're going to need to show that we're using secure systems. So your brokerage owners are going to have some checklists soon, and they're going to say, here are the approved systems that you can use in your business. And so it's upon us now as mortgage professionals wanting to grow and be better at what we do to start looking at the systems we're using. And that's why we're proud at Finmo. We're SOC 2 Type 2 compliant. We have multi-factor authentication. Blue Mortgage is secure, great partner that way. We know that any data that's shared back and forth is secure. So we've done everything we can in our business to make sure your business is secure too. So this is all about your systemization, tech stack and automation. What do you do at each step of the way, and what systems are you wanting to speak to? The Blue Mortgage team will speak to what happens at the different steps of a mortgage application, what automations that they have are already set up for you that are going to happen. But I want to go back to time. With the automations that Blue Mortgage has from Finmo's full API, you are going to save, I'm going to say, hours per mortgage application. And the hours come from those administrative tasks that we have to do on every single deal. So with the automations that Tom is going to highlight, and Christine and Miles will talk about as well, it's going to free you up to get more business, or to maybe head off to that cabin up in the woods that you want to get to more often. So with that, I'm going to stop talking about this client journey, and I'm going to go back to my friend Christine, who is going to talk a little bit about her business and what she's doing with her customer journey, what she does differently, and some highlights. Go for it, Christine.
Yeah, thanks, Joe. I think the customer journey is something that is the most important part of each of our businesses, and probably the most neglected, unfortunately. When we ask people, I don't know how about you, Joe, but I'm sure you get a lot of questions about it. And the majority of people say, oh, it lives in my head. The challenge is that's great for you, but if you can't define it, you also can't refine it. And so I know for me, I started a document probably 8 or 9 years ago, and I change it probably weekly, maybe if not monthly, for sure. And it's something that is so important once you grow a team, and it needs to be your primary focus. If you don't have time to commit to your client journey, then you cannot foresee where your business is going to go. You can't see any issues that may be coming up. You can't sort of move through that constant evolution, you know? So I think there are a couple points for sure. Joe and I were chatting in advance of what is the most important stage of your customer journey. And each of our businesses are so unique. That's one of the best parts about being a mortgage broker. So I'm curious, I actually had a few things that I had to do self-reflection. I'm curious in the chat, what does everyone think their most important stage of their customer journey? Keeping in mind that these don't have to be your predetermined stages. I do things not in this order as well. What does everybody say theirs is? Discovery call, discovery,
Oh, wow.
yeah.
Discovery
Yeah,
call.
initial, yeah. Totally. I was in the same thing. Lots of initial, yeah. And so for me,
Wow.
that's the opportunity to develop so if I actually said the same thing, and I'll show you guys. Further to that, what do you do in that discovery call and why? Do you just desperately try and connect with the client? Do you have specific questions that you ask? For me, I decided, you know what, in this call, I want to get to know as fast as I can. Get to know and then also get to know. So I have a little template that I have filled out.
Stop sharing. Yeah, I'll stop sharing and you go for
I'll just show you really quickly. Something like this, which again gets modified all the time. There we go. Can you see my screen?
You bet.
So this is just in a format that's easy for me to read. So as I'm talking to the client, I can just delete all of the things. So if I'm really getting deep into a conversation, I can say, okay, well, they want to buy a house for this amount. And then I know exactly based on today's rates, what pre-populates all of the information that I'm going to need. Oh, they only are earning 50,000. Okay, this is going to be a quick to know here. Down payment requirements, because sometimes I can't do the math in my head as fast as I would like to, or even just payment amounts. So a conversation that I'll have is, what's the maximum payment that you're comfortable paying right now? And that way I can give guidance in that initial call and get to whatever stage they're going to get to as quickly as possible. So what do you do during that initial phase? And what is important for you to gather? Some people, Joey, can you put that one back up? Some people have an initial call and then they actually meet with a mortgage broker and then they do their strategy planning right then. I do it differently. I say, I cannot give you any guidance until I have all of your documents and all of your information. And I will give you a tremendous amount of value as soon as I know exactly what you need to know. So for me, this first call with the mortgage broker doesn't happen, really. It's all sort of when the lead comes in and then we do document gathering. And that is amazing because yours can be different. And so, no docs, no talks. Absolutely. Can I share them? Yeah, I definitely can. I will do it in the chat when it's not my turn to talk because I'll get distracted. But then I also have another script in there that's just over the phone. So what happens if somebody texts you? What happens if somebody emails you? What happens if it's a random online lead? And are all of those the same process or are they different? Because the person who's contacting you online may have a different need or a different preference for communication than the person that's text messaging. And they may all be the same and that's great too, but it's so important to understand why you're doing everything at each stage. So for me, I'll show you the second one here. Oh, sorry, I'll go back to my sharing screen. I have screen two. I have bases that we try and hit over email because I can't connect with people as quickly over email. So this is our first base of, I don't just jump into here's our information, but through this I say, and this is an older script as well that needs some AI updating, but I'll say, I have some great calculators. So then it links to my webpage where a lot of times people just want to know some rough estimates for what they qualify for, or they just want to sort of pick your brain. There are so many tools online that they can just quickly plug in and say, oh, wait a second, I only earn $40,000 a year and I'm looking for a $2 million mortgage. That might not be the best use of my time right now. And then within it, I also say the list of supporting documents. So then they've got all the documents that are going to be needed. And then they can say, okay, well, letter of employment, what does that entail? And sometimes they get that far into it and say, oof, we actually don't want to get a letter of employment right now. We just really wanted to know what your best rate is.
Hey,
And then I
Christine,
say,
I'm
"That's
gonna interrupt you there because I think you're doing something that's really important that I don't want people to want to be glossed over. What you're showing us is on your website, and this
Yes.
is something that's really important that another good friend and industry person, Jackson Middleton, has always said. Is everything you do as a mortgage professional needs to point back to you, technology wise. So if you have a blog post, that blog post needs to be hosted on your website. What you just showed us, the calculator page. Yeah, lots of people have calculator page, but sometimes they refer to a program that they don't control. We have to control everything as mortgage professionals, and it has to come back to us, the center, so we can have those discovery calls. Oh, just here's a link. Just go here. It's on my website, right? And all that sort of stuff. So I didn't want that to be glossed over.
Thanks, Joey. And actually, that's a great, please just, you have to interrupt me or you won't get a word in. That's a great point, is that every person on this call who has a Finmo account, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, has access to the Finmo calculators. You can create them with realtor partners, but all of these just get you to my Finmo calculators. Jackson built it all for me, easy breezy, you go through it, and then it takes you right to my application. So, and then from there, I mean, sometimes if it's a weekend, then you can come in, we've all heard this with the Finmo, but you can come in Monday morning and have a full application ready to go without even having to have had a conversation with the client. I have an out of office reply that when it's after hours, it specifically states, here's a link to my resource page and here's a link to my application. So people will oftentimes start it. And then, yeah, just sort of as a follow-up to that, can everybody still see my screen on my website? Yeah, so I have all of these in here where these are just things that I hyperlink to. So what income is used, credit, ready to write an offer, basement suite, first-time buyers, for example. When I've got a first-time buyer that's looking for information, I do what we call empathy mapping. So I've really taken the time to get to know my clients and how they process information in their preferred way. Most of my first-time buyers like it online, and most of them want to do the research on their own before they really actively engage, because there's probably a little bit of ego. They don't want to say, I don't know anything about this. So this just goes over some basic information. Some of the RSP stuff, it's all hyperlinked in there. So I send this to all first-time buyers before they have any communication with us, just preemptively saying, hey, here's some information. And it all links out to obviously the source, the actual source of information, like the government websites, but I find it really, really useful. So going back onto it, how much more time do we have, Joey?
Oh, you guys, I don't know. You're Christine. You just
2
go.
more
But I
minutes?
think one more thing. I'll interrupt one more time for you. And I think what you're going to see with what Christine is doing, what you have seen, and what you're going to see with what Miles is going to show us is really important, because you're building a business. We all know the people in this industry that make incredible income. We can make incredible income in this, and it's just amazing. And when we get our licenses and we leave, and we're like, okay, where am I going? Who do I got? I hope I get a good brokerage. I hope I have a good mentor. How do I do business? How do I lease an office? Do I lease an office? Do I work for? What do I do? So we're kind of a little bit blind, and our associations are getting better, but there's a lot of work we can do. And I know what Tom has done over at Blue Mortgage with the client journey that they work on with their partners and their clients, and what I do and what we do here at Finmo and LendDesk. We're trying to make better mortgage professionals in this industry through our products. Sure, yes, we want people to use Finmo. We want people to submit their deals on Finmo, but at the same time, there's a better way to do business. And that's what's exciting about this, is that our industry is awesome for that, about sharing information with what you've shown, Christine, and everything. So yeah, that's mine.
Thank you.
It.
I'll add one part as well. I had the same, my initial thought was, yeah, lead, of course, you need to develop the relationship or the client's gone. There are definitely, as I think we're all experiencing, specifically around RBC, eating everybody's lunch. But there are obviously points all throughout the process that you run the risk of losing the client. So I would say every stage has its own level of importance, but there are some really interesting studies around how we experience the end of things. So from what they tell us, that the experience of the end will actually dictate how we view the entire experience. So you can pour your energy and your soul into creating this amazing cost analysis and provide all of this information to the client, but if they don't feel elated at the end, then it can completely void all of that time. And then the reverse is also true. You can kind of like, I'm being told not to swear here, but you can kind of do a bad job, but still completely make up for it at the end. And the client experience is still the same. And then going back to Joe's point, how do you know if you've done a good job? they're still passing your name along to other people. So I would say that the end is equally as important. And that's pre-funding email, the completion day, and post-funding. I mean, post-funding all the way through to renewal is obviously important, but another thing that I think is really interesting when we really dive down and think about our clients' behavior, there's a whole thing called empathy mapping that I've kind of touched on that is really about studying our clients so we can know how to serve them. A post-Banco client who's just refinancing to pay out some CRA second mortgage is going to want a different closing gift or a different post-funding experience than the first-time buyer or than the investor, right? So when we look at the process, sure, we have things that we can do at each stage of the way, but is it really being tailored to the client? And if you're trying to be everything to everyone all the time, number one, you could get cancer, take it from me. And then number two, it really dilutes your message. You're not going to be able to wow and thrill and like completely blow the socks off of that first-time buyer if you're giving them the exact same process as you're giving the investor or the post-Banco, right? So this is something that I want to think about in the chat. What is a common life experience that you think most people go through? We're going to play a game. So this could go sideways, but we're going to do it live. In the chat, what do you guys think is something that a lot of people go through? Divorce. Okay. Moving. Yep. Marriage, divorce, baby, loss of work. Yep. Job loss.
I'm seeing a lot of empathy coming into
Birth of a
this.
child. Yep. Relocating, new children. Okay. So let's pick one of them. Tom, which one would you pick as our empathy mapping? Birthdays, moving.
Let's go with loss of work. I think that's
Loss
an
of
interesting
work.
one. Yeah.
Okay. So
Yeah.
loss of work is going to be an interesting one coming up now. So same as job change, right? If you're going to, what's somebody that would be selling you something during a loss of work? So maybe like, let's call it a job fair. When do you think it's most important for you as the job fair to be marketing your value to this person who is in an opportunity to get a new job? In the chat, what do you guys think? You are hosting a job fair. So your target audience is people who have no jobs. You're hosting a job fair. When do you think it's the most important time to market to them? ASAP? Yeah. When will you provide the most value? So I would say when they're processed and they're ready to look again, yep, totally. When they're broke, totally. After the job loss, yep, before they lose their job, that's a good one too. So you will have, in my experience, all of those things are important, but I would say the most important time, the most impact you will have on them is the day they start their new job. The first day of their new job that you helped place for them. So if you can find a way to collect that information, rather than just saying, here you go, here's my information, because we're all saturated with that every day, and you can find a way to gather that data, and then you send them something on their first day of work and say, we are so proud of you for committing to this new role, and we want to be there to support you along the way. And then whatever you're looking for as your, referral or whatever, imagine the impact you'll have then, rather than just promoting your job fair, right? Make sense to everyone? Absolutely. So some of the questions that we were talking about were innovation, obviously AI. I'm a huge AI fan. Sometimes I'm sitting here just chatting with with my ChatGPT. Like, I think I have more technology friends than real friends these days, but they're just phenomenal. And it's just allowing us to elevate our experience as well as the client experience. Some of the recent things that we have been looking into doing are Crystal Knows is a cool one, where it's a predictive technology where you plug it into to your LinkedIn, and it tells you within like 3 minutes, if you look up your clients, what their personality is. It's pretty cool. And that's where I actually see technology going. Some of them are like Grammarly, Pinch Financial, Willful, all of these really creative companies, obviously Blue and obviously Finmo. They've made our lives considerably easier. I think the thing with most technology tryouts for me is just being quick to fail. Just understanding that I believe that everything we know to be true today will change. And that's really the only thing that we know to be true. So how can you make the best of what we have right now before, like Carter says, AI takes over our jobs? Maybe it's down the road, but right now, like, let's befriend that technology. Let's utilize it to its maximum capacity. And I would just say, I'll just keep talking, so you really do have to cut me off. But
I'm giving you a 1 minute warning.
1 minute warning, yeah. If I could say one piece of advice from somebody who's used every CRM and who's used every submission platform and has landed on my preference being Blue and Finmo, that the best technology you can use is the one that you actually use. And we were talking about this, is like, my favorite technology is my email. That's how I communicate with my clients. And so how do I do everything email centric? And so even some of my templates in Blue, it fires off a template to me, and then I forward it, or to my team, and then we forward it, because that's what I'm a control freak, obviously. But there are so many things that you can do in there. It's important not to get lost in the maze. The most important ones are the ones that you can say, yeah, I'm going to use this consistently. And then you'll slowly start to grow into, oh, that's available as well. Oh, that's available as well. Reviewing your tech stack will save you thousands of dollars, because there are so many things that you can do in between both of them that you may not need to have a Sign Now account, or you may not need to be doing Calendly. So
exactly.
I'll pass it over, and I will put the links in the chat, and then enjoy the remainder of the presentation.
Yeah. So with that, I am going to hand it over to Tom to talk about integration 2.0 between Finmo and Blue Mortgage. Christine, thank you so much. So people are saying, do you train? Can I pay you? So thank you so much and I look forward to your questions as we dive into this too, to challenge everyone else on this. So Tom, over to you. Do you want control of the screen?
Yeah, I'll jump in. You can keep it on this. Just okay. I'll quickly talk to these points, and then I'll dive into the live demo. But I think that we talked, kind of bringing it, I guess, full circle now, and we're talking about this new integration that we've built. I think I want to kind of draw back to that client experience doc. And Joe, you don't have to pull it up, but if everyone kind of think of it in that kind of Word doc that he had shown, and even some of the ones that Christine was showing, what we realized is, looking at that doc as a good example, is that there are a lot of touch points, right? There are, when you look at that, it is super detailed, right? And it has to be, right? Because if it is going to be that guide, that Bible for you to go through every single step of the process, it's not enough just to say, the new lead step. It's like, no, what's involved in that, right? And going into the detail, and as Christine showed, the discovery call details of all of that. And so one side of it is, there's that detail and making sure that you're dialed in and all those details. But the other kind of key part that I took of it, and what we kind of incorporate in this integration, is that flexibility, right? So saying, okay, well, maybe I have different lead sources, and so I need to treat these leads a little bit differently. But also flexibility over time, saying, hey, today I do things a certain way, but maybe I bring in a new team member, maybe the market shift, maybe like Miles, I've gone from working in the office and getting people there to now working at home. Things evolve over time. And so as Christine said, the only constant is change. I think that's especially true as it comes to technology. And so, what's the most important technology is the one that you use, but also the one that can be flexible, right? That as you want to change your use, you're able to do so. And so those are some of the concepts we really built into this integration.
For sure. And I'm really looking forward to Miles' feedback on that change, because, I've been in their office before many times and seen them all flexing and trying to adapt to a different email system and different this and different that. So Miles, I know you've got some amazing things to add about your integration with Blue and what you've done. So looking forward to hear all about that. Do you want to share now, Tom?
Yeah, I'll jump into a bit of a share.
Okay.
Yeah. Let's pull it up here. You see that okay? It's coming through. Christine, yeah, I got the thumbs up there now.
Oh yeah.
My eyes are good too, Joe. Okay, beautiful. Right, so I'm not going to do a full overview of Blue, because that's a lot. I really do want to focus in on the part that really we're excited to showcase as part of this. For those who aren't super familiar with Blue, talked a little bit. We are CRM. this homepage gives a very, very kind of general overview of kind of the basic things that you can expect from Blue. Things like open tasks, so to-do list, managing your day-to-day, amount by stage, so analytics and kind of seeing your pipeline, and then even upcoming renewals, so post-close and happy birthdays and things like that. So there's a lot more and a lot more depth that can go into Blue, but this gives a super high level of kind of what we do and what we're about. But as it relates to the integration, the first place I'm going to start actually is on the borrower side of things. And so this here is actually talking about what a lot of people put in as maybe that most important part, which is the initial prospecting, that initial call, the discovery call side of things. And so how we have it in Blue is each column can be a different step along the way, right? So we have not contacted, tried to reach out, contacted, that sort of thing, and being able to click and drag. But what I wanted to highlight again as it relates to this integration now is the flexibility now that we've built into this. And so, if I'm looking at this stage, I have a couple people that I've already contacted, so done that discovery call with, and now I'm interested in having them, fill out my application on the Finmo side of things. So, historically, one thing that you've been able to do is click and drag and say, now I want to send the portal link. And by doing that motion, it actually can send out those links, kind of what Christine was showing, to the application where they can log in and fill that out, right? And so for maybe a certain type of lead, that's exactly right, that's exactly appropriate, and that makes the most sense. But maybe you have a different type of person, maybe you do the empathy mapping. Christine, I'll borrow your phrase there, and see that, filling something out online might not make the most sense. Instead, you want to kind of work through it with them. And so instead, what you can do now, and showing that flexibility, is that right from this profile of this person that I have in Blue that I did some discovery with, I can also just right from here create the app. So they don't have to go through and log in and do that sort of thing. I can just come in, I can say with Ahmed here, I'm going to be doing a purchase. And now after it loads, it says now that new deal is created. And now what I'll do is I'll jump over into my Finmo, and there it is. There's that Ahmed application that I have. And so that's just showcasing a little bit of that flexibility there, again, as it relates to different types of people, of how they'd want to do their application. And so for Ahmed here, now I could just come in and actually start working through the application with them and have it on my end.
Can I actually jump in there for a second too, Tom, and
Sure,
just
please, yeah.
share with everybody something I find super useful? Can you go back to the Blue CRM?
Yeah.
One thing that's amazing for anyone that has a team is if you go down to emails, you can share each other's emails. So if I've been emailing with a client and then they're like, oh, should we be starting? Should we not? If for people like me who may right now not be able to be 100% committed into the mortgage space all the time, I might just have to need somebody to plug in and say, oh yeah, this is exactly where Christine's at. All the emails can filter in and everybody can see them. It's brilliant.
Yeah, it's this is kind of can become that source of truth, right? Where, there's Tom, but then there's also, Christine, they're on the same team, they're emailing the client separately, but this becomes that source where it brings it all together. So yeah, it becomes very powerful.
I was going to jump in there too for a little bit too. And Miles, tell me a little bit how you and your dad, for instance, how are you guys managing? No, it's true, right? Because you guys have this awesome relationship, but there's also that working relationship in there. And I think for a lot of the people on the call, there's a dynamics, right? And certain people work a certain way. Talk a little bit, if you can, about how you guys are using Blue Mortgage.
So we're using it basically as CRM and file tracking, task tracking, and all those different things. And like what was just touched on, that email section there is so crucial because we've got myself, my dad, Greg, we've got our 2 underwriters and stuff like that. So when you have so many people working on a file, being able to go in there and see all that information is crucial. It allows you to provide details and provide information, know exactly what that other person was talking about. So for example, Greg, my dad, who started the business, 33 years ago, he recently took a holiday. So when he left, because of the systems like Blue, I was able to go into the file, see all the communication, see everything he sent this customer, allowing me to tailor the information I sent to them based on what he said as well. So that way I know, let's say he was talking to the client and they were interested in fixed rate mortgages. And I can see that they wanted a 3-year fixed over a 5-year fixed. I don't have to have that conversation with the client to get up to date. It's already built right in there. I have it. It's available. So that way, when I get on a phone call with them, I can just say, hey, I know you were looking at 3-year fixed rate options. Greg brought up these options. I've got them in front of me here. What are your thoughts on this? How can we proceed? And it really allows you to have that teamwork too, and that teamwork mentality, which is so crucial and important. And, just being honest, with working with my father, of course, we butted heads when we first started as per protocol. But through stuff like this, we've really come together, and now we work as a team and really, really effectively. And it makes things so much easier, just so much easier.
I know. It's amazing. I would just love to see your dad's brain kind of changing and warping to all this. I think it's awesome. And that's the thing, that we're all learners in this industry, right?
Yep.
And we're all learning up, right? And the comments are just amazing in here, and the thank yous that are going up. But this is how we learn, right? And so I think it's a life. That's the great thing about this business is that you can always grow and learn and do different things differently. Sorry, Tom, we totally hijacked.
Yeah, no, good. No, it's good. Please feel free. And I think the other thing about it too, just kind of looking ahead a bit, is we've chatted a couple times about AI, and Carter had some exciting things about it. Is with so many of these models, the data is king, right? In a sense that, if we want to be using some of these tools to their fullest extent, well, what they consume and what they need is the data. So if you can start thinking about, okay, how do I centralize across my business and all the different interactions that I have, a centralized place, a single place to start thinking about that data, that's just going to get you, that one step ahead as you start using some of these different types of tools. So it's not, I would say, something that is in everyone's face right now, but it's definitely something that we're hearing more and more people thinking about and talking about, where it's like, hey, I know I need to get my data in that single spot because it's coming, right? And I want to be prepared for whatever that is, right? So
yeah.
As a broker
totally.
too, sorry to keep jumping in, but Tom has totally tolerated me all of these years. I was like, get all my data into one place. How am I going to do this? But on the call, you're probably like, wow, that feels really overwhelming, especially if you've been in the business prior to 2020. Like, how am I going to do this? So what we did is we went back to that blue screen. We just created a stage that's like not sorted yet. Same with Gmail. If you're looking to organize your Gmail, just put a folder as not sorted yet. And then when you have slow times, you can figure it out. But starting at that square one, not holding off on not starting just because you're afraid of the data sorting. Create a column. You can speak to something like that with at that, Tom, as well.
Yeah.
That just basically, we're like, shut everything off, put it in there. We'll sort later.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, really good. And it all links back to that client journey, right? And what do I do?
Yeah.
Right? Because when you do hire that new person, like Miles is going to do, soon, you hire that new licensed assistant or unlicensed assistant, you can hand them that client journey. And you're swamped. You're in the weeds. You've got lots of leads coming in. You're talking to people. You're underwriting. You're following up on documents, and you hand them that document and say, "Please just go through this line by line. Write out your questions on an email to me, or we'll meet afterwards. And I'm going to book you training sessions with Blue Mortgage. You're going to have the drop-in demo, and I know the team over at Lendesk and Finmo will train you as well. So let's just go through it and get back to me." Right? It's such an integral part of what we do as brokers.
Yeah, absolutely. And it even becomes an interesting training tool, right? That, the data that you have or sorting it or whatever it might be can actually be an interesting thing for, when you do bring in that assistant. Miles, sounds like that you're in that camp, maybe not. But in any case, the data sorting becomes a great way for someone to understand it. So yeah, there's definitely some overwhelming side of things, but we've seen a lot of interesting ways that people have been able to be successful with that. Which is great. And
yeah,
sorry, go ahead, Joe.
No, I'll let you finish. Then I have a question specifically for you. Yeah.
Well, the only other thing I was going to show in terms of the flexibility side is actually exactly something that Christine was kind of talking about. So these are those columns again, and I won't go into it. But one thing that's great about Blue in general is that this is changeable, right? So I could come in here and I can actually say, you know what, I want this brand new column. I'm going to say, not sorted or whatever it might be. I could just pop this in. I have to put a couple numbers in here, but this is just for good record keeping. And so then when I go back to here, I can see that new column, not sorted. Okay, great. But the kicker, and one of the things, again, that we wanted to showcase part of this integration is that now with this new column, if I just actually reload this page here, this is my settings now that I'm able to access for Finmo, I can actually choose when I want something to go to that stage. So maybe for me, I want to say when I get a new deal in, you can see that not sorted, that thing that I just put in there, I can now map to it. And so now, as your customer journey evolves, as maybe you need to sort some data, you need to make those changes, you can adjust them in Blue, and it's just going to work really, really nicely with Finmo. And so you're not doing anything manually, and these things can stay up to date as you evolve, right? So I think this was just another point to that flexibility that I wanted to touch on.
Really important. I think it's just that's why it's such a great integration, right? Is that you can make it yours and for your client.
Exactly. Yep.
And that's really good. And I'm putting a little note in a little chat for everyone. We're going fast. We're covering a lot of stuff and we're sharing links. I just want to reiterate that we are going to share the recording. We're going to have those links in there that I've shared and Christine have shared, but we're also going to have the links for if you want to get on and do a demo with the Blue Mortgage team and you want to see kind of, ask some questions, one-on-one, one-on-three, whatever that group demo ends up being. We're going to have those there for you so you can learn more.
Yeah,
awesome.
absolutely.
Let me share my screen again here. Too many screens going on. All right. So, well, thanks for showing that. Okay, so Miles, I want to hear from you. What, Christine asked what the most important part of the discovery call, but I really want to hear from you where you have seen success and speaking specifically to the changes in technology that we've seen over the last few years. What has been a game changer? Such an overused word, but what has been the game changer for you? Right?
It's a game changer. I think it's a great word. And I think with, hate talking about it, but with COVID, a lot of things changed in our office. So my dad started as a mortgage broker 33 years ago. He's been incredibly successful. I'm so happy to have him as my mentor and my partner. And when COVID hit, we went to working from home offices, and we live in Nanaimo, which is a smaller growing city where it's a lot of face-to-face, belly-to-belly interactions, shall we say, where you have a client who phones and says, hey, I want to get a mortgage. When can I come in to meet you? And you do your introduction that way. And then, you go through the process, they drop their documents off at your office and they come in to sign the documents. And by the time the dust settles, that client's probably spent 4 hours in your office to 5 hours in total. And all of a sudden, we lost the ability to do that. We couldn't do that. And I mean, for me, my wife is immune compromised. So for me, it was important to work from home. And we started integrating systems to allow us to do that. And one of the big ones was, of course, Finmo, which we've been using since it started because we absolutely love it. And that's been really important for us because it allows us to get the application and get those documents in and get those documents for commitment letters signed without actually having to go see the client. Now, we can do that if we want to now, but it just made things a lot more smooth and easy. And then, I can't remember exactly when it was brought up, but someone said, CRM systems, and we were going through some stuff and someone brought up Blue, and we booked a demo and fell in love with the systems. And now we've integrated those systems together, and it's put us in a spot where, we've got Finmo, which does our, applications, documents, signing, but now we also have Blue set up with that, where it allows us to communicate with clients in such an effective manner. It also allows us to track everything like that. The pipeline that was shown before, that is my favorite thing on the planet because it gives me this visual cue of exactly where files are, how many tasks are assigned to it, and what they need to do next. And as someone who's very, I don't want to say controlling, but I like to know everything that's going on, because if I don't know what's happening, I get a little stressed out and start pacing around my little office here. And, having that system available allows me to go in there really quickly, really effectively, and see what's going on. And it allows us to communicate so well with our customers through automation and all the different things that are available through it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's awesome. Thank you. And, shouts out to people like you and Christine. And I know, Tom, you may get 1 or 2 suggestions from your users as well. I think that we both of our companies, that is part of the success and the growth of our companies, is that we've listened to our users. And we at Finmo, we have a product board where we keep track of every single product request. And I know that every week I'm looking, who do I need to update that this was updated, or this was fixed, or that this is launching. And I learned that from Carter early on, that listen, because it's gold, right? These are our users. We need to listen and we need to adapt and change. And I think as mortgage professionals in this industry, I think that's a overlying message that we need to listen to our consumers. One of our partners here, Greg Williamson, he always talks about people want that skip the dishes experience. They want that. I got to do this here. So, with both of our systems, you get that. And I think it just makes our jobs easier and gives you back that time to do what's important for you and for your family. So we're getting close here. Carter, are you watching time? I'm not really watching time. I probably should be. We're good. I've got the slide up. Everyone can see it. We have you have to be here to win this. Mariah, do you want to speak a little bit about this?
Yeah, so hey everyone, I'm Mariah. First of all, thank you for staying until now. I know we went a little bit past, but it was so interesting, so much good information for everyone. And as a way to say thank you for being here, we're going to do a quick draw.
I'll let you share your screen, Mariah. Let me just, I'll stop the share and you can go for it.
We're going to be giving away 2 months of Blue Mortgage, and there are going to be 2 draw. One for someone that it's already a client, and one for someone who isn't a client yet. So can you guys see my screen here?
Yep, got her.
Yeah.
And if we do draw your name, just please say something in the comments because it's just for people that are still in here. So let's see who is the winner here.
It's a lot of names.
There's a lot of names.
It's a big wheel.
It is.
Can we see
Do we
there?
have
Oh my God.
Sadaf
Sadaf.
in the
Sorry if I
call?
ruined your pronunciation.
We maybe search that.
Sadaf.
Rubinder knows Sadaf maybe.
Check if he's on.
Oh,
Not
he's
online?
not on the line.
Okay.
Okay.
Respin
Christina is
maybe.
giving me
Yeah.
some support, so let's do it again.
There was, I believe, 440, 450 people registered, so this might happen again.
Maybe we'll get lucky.
Sarah, are you here?
She's here.
She's
Woo!
here. Sarah,
Great.
congratulations. I'm going to be reaching out to you after this webinar with more details on the next steps.
Awesome.
So now let's go to people that are active clients in Blue. Paul. He's here.
He's also here.
Well,
Oh, great.
Paul, congratulations. I'm also going to be reaching out to you after the webinar with how the 60 days are going to be applied to your billing. And thank you so much. I'm going to pass it over back to Joe or Tom, not sure.
Yeah, to me, yeah, that's fine. I'll share my screen again. And I want to remind everyone about our new webinar that we're going to be doing on AI. And I know Carter is very excited. We kind of geek out on AI, and it's one of those shiny things that you have to be focused on, or otherwise it's so distracting, right, Christine? And it's a wonderful tool, and it really, really helps. But I'm really looking forward to this as well. So, Carter, do you want to wrap up?
Yeah, we'll leave it up here. Thank you all for coming. I think you heard the heart of Lendesk, which is I think echoed throughout this presentation. We're in the business of listening to you, listening to your experience with clients, and building a better journey for all of them. I love the empathy conversation that Christine's bringing up. We want to understand you. We want to understand the end client. We want to make better technology. It couldn't be more simple than that. So thanks for joining. You're welcome to drop off. For those of you that are still on, definitely register to this AI webinar. I think it's going to be amazing, and we're going to be announcing a brand new Spotlight add-on feature that is a AI assistant. So I think it's going to be incredible to demo that and show you the magic of AI. So make sure you register. Thanks, everyone. Have a great day.
And thanks, everyone. And if there's anyone hanging around that wants to ask a few questions, I'm here. Tom, I think you're here. You
Yeah,
got,
we'll
you have a
chill.
couple-
Yeah, we got some time for
And
sure.
anyone else, Miles and Christine, if you guys want to hang out, that's awesome. Yeah. So anyone, if you go ahead and put a chat in and ask a question, and we'll hang out for a couple minutes. It's gonna go quiet.
Okay, what is the weirdest question you've asked AI for the other panelists?
Oh no.
While we wait.
Oh, man.
Oh, I did a recipe. I asked it. I took all the spices I had left in my corner cupboard. I
Oh,
pulled them
nice.
out and I wrote them down. I wanted to make a curry powder, and I put them all in there. And I said, "Hey, ChatGPT, here's the list of spices I have available. Can I make a curry powder out of this?" I said, "Yeah, you sure can. Here's 2 recipes." And it spit out the recipes, and I'm like, "What?"
Very cool. Was it
And I made
good?
it. It was great. It was fantastic.
Okay.
I got a bag of it all mixed up, ready to go.
That's super useful because I am a terrible cook.
You should try it. Really, it
We
really.
had a
Absolutely.
quick question here too, just for Amit before they have to jump off. It says, "Can CRM record calls?" So, Tom, can Blue
Yeah.
record calls? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I can. You do have to have an internet phone provider. Like, it wouldn't be able to just pick it up off of your cell phone. But if you had like a Ring Central, or we use something called Zoho Voice, there's those types of things, and they can integrate in so that when you place a phone call, first of all, it attaches right to the client who you spoke with, so you can kind of see the phone calls you made, and it can have a recording. And what's really cool, we just implemented this in our CRM. We've added a layer of AI. So coming out of that call, it shows me my call summary. Hey, this is what it was about. This is what you talked about, and here are the next steps, right? So, so yes, long-winded way of saying yes, and there's some cool ways you can apply it.
Cynthia's looking how to best get started. And honestly, Cynthia, you are probably like many people on the call. And so, yeah.
So I read Cynthia's question here. Pretty much, you have been using Blue. You can just send an email to our support team, and we're going to get back to you on the next steps based on exactly where you are in the process. But short answer is, if you have already used WBS, you could go back with them. But we also offer weekly office hours for our clients, where if there's any specific things that you want to do or any specific tips, you can just jump onto those office hours, and we're going to assist you with that.
Yeah. Thank you, Mariah. I saw a
Awesome,
question.
nice.
I wanted to answer yes, Tom, but can you send text messages via Blue Mortgage?
Yeah, you can. It's the same idea as the calls, where it won't be your number. It'll be, you have to get what's called a Twilio number. But once
That's right.
that's hooked up, yeah, you can
And
send it
that's-
out and receive it, and yeah.
Perfect. So it's similar. We have that on Finmo. When you use Finmo, you can invite a borrower in and let them know via text, and you can text them updates throughout the process, and that's included in Finmo as well. So thank you. I'm just scrolling through.
What's nice about that too on either system is it's the same idea as the emails, right? Where, maybe Tom's texting, then Tom goes on vacation. You don't want those text messages locked in his phone somewhere. You want it somewhere where anybody can see and kind of collaborate on. So we're seeing a lot more people actually starting to use that feature. I think for that reason.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's flexibility, right? I think that's the key
Yeah.
thing, that, you want the path of least resistance for the consumer. How are they going to find you? Everything's going to point back to you. What's that journey going to be like? You got to have systems. You got to have a client journey laid out and ready to roll, right? And if people want to communicate through text, you can let them know, hey, I'm not going to share any personal information on text. I'm going to let you know I sent you an email. Check your email, please. That sort of thing. So you can, it's about appropriateness and how you're going to communicate too.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah.
So Shani Tay has a question. So if I have 2 emails linked to Blue Mortgage, would the communication via both email addresses transfer to Blue CRM platform, or do I need to sign up as 2 users?
Yeah, so the rule is it's 1 inbox per user. So if you did want to sync both of them in, then yeah, you do 2 users. What we see some people doing is saying, hey, I don't want to pay for 2 users just to sync my inbox. Some people set up an auto forward. So if I've integrated inbox A, well, I just auto forward everything in inbox B into A, and then everything gets synced, gets sunk. What's the right past tense? But in any case, that can work too. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you. And Oh, thank you, Mariah, for seeing that. Awesome. Yeah, does Blue have landing pages with the CRM like you can build out on your website? I know some of them do.
It's not our core feature. I would say one thing about Blue, and I think, Christine, you alluded to this a bit, and I think Miles used, is that, there's a full suite of tools too, because we are built on the Zoho platform. It actually comes with about 50 other tools that you can use for different reasons. So Sign is probably the most popular one. It's like a DocuSign. There's Bookings, which is kind of like Calendly, and there actually is one called Sites, which is a website builder. So yes, there's something there, but admittedly, I haven't used it that much. A lot of our clients, I haven't seen a lot of our clients use it, so I wouldn't give it my stamp of approval necessarily. But there is those features built in if it's something that's important to you.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you, everyone. Let me see.
Yeah, thank you.
Go. So, what are we going to do? So, first of all, don't forget to register for the new AI coming up. That new AI webinar is going to be awesome. We are going to send out an email to everyone that's attended, a replay of this session, of course, and with the links to the documents that we've shared. You can ask questions if I know after meetings, sometimes I'm like, oh my gosh, why didn't I ask that question? I'm always to blame for that. But if you want to learn more, go to bluemortgage.ca. And of course, you can go to lendesk.com/demo. We have an awesome suite of people that will jump on and help you and guide you and answer your questions. So we look forward to connecting with you on this.
Awesome. Well, for my part, really appreciate, Miles and Christine for you guys to join, but, Carter, Christina, and Joe for helping set this up and getting this going. I think it was a really great call. It seems that a lot of folks in the chat are got a lot of value out of it. So thanks for everyone's help with this. It seemed it's really great.
Can I jump in really quickly just for this question? It seems like it came up a few times with the CR or with the website. If we just use like Zapier. So if somebody contacts through your website, you can still zap into the Blue. You can still do everything the same. You can zap to your Google Contacts and everything. So it's certainly not a deal breaker, in my opinion.
No, absolutely. And I can cover that. And, I know Tom would cover that too, but in my integration sessions, I talk about those other systems outside of Blue. How could I do this? And I'll cover all that if you want to join us on the session at FinMo Tues. Have a great rest of your day, everyone. Take care.